How's it going, everyone? ProRogueBear here. My name is Ben, and today we're going to be going through OBS, but specifically StreamLabs OBS and how that works. So we did an OBS tutorial not too long ago, and I was asked on Twitch, and I think we had a comment on YouTube as well asking about doing one for StreamLabs. So I've used StreamLabs before. It's actually the one I started with. So I thought let's jump in and do a StreamLabs tutorial and show you what it's all about. So let's jump in. And just very quickly, before we get started, we stream every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. UK time. Tuesdays and Fridays, we have our day off. So feel free to come by. It's twitch.tv/ProRogueBear. And yeah, we play a variety of games and stuff like that. But you're always welcome to come and ask any questions and things like that as well. More than happy to jump into a bit of just chatting and help you with your stream. So with that all said, let's actually jump in. Cool. So what we've got here is we have our Streamlabs at the moment, and it's all set up basically how I was last using it. You can have different kind of scenes and things like that, and you know, this one I've just like emptied this one because I don't really use it, but it was just to show you guys, and we can create some stuff, and I'll walk you all the way through it. But this is basically where your main stream is going to be, your game and your camera and all that kind of stuff. You want to have all of that. We're going to go through sources and the different things like that, and your sound mixers and things. The mini feed and the chat bar is just something that I've got switched on for mine, so I could see the chat coming through and like recent follows and things like that. As a first kind of step, let's just go through an overview of where everything is and what to kind of expect from this software. So first of all, we've got the camera editor bit, and this is basically how to get back to this main page. So you'll see here we can go to your alert box library, which is where you can pick all the different kind of widgets and overlays and things like that. And if you sign up to, they do have some free ones which you can instantly plug and play. So if you're just getting started, this is why I'd say Streamlabs is a little bit easier to get started in streaming rather than OBS. This was very useful for me getting started. I could just click a few buttons and I'd have an overlay all fully loaded. So what we'll do is we'll show you this. We'll go through and put this all together as well. Obviously, some of these are Prime. So if you've got a Prime membership with Streamlabs, then that's their paid version, which is about $12 a month, I think, at the time of recording. They do have some free ones as well, so I'll show you how to find them. We've got the themes. This is where more of the actual themes are as well. And normally with some themes, you can actually download the theme and it will bring through the alert as well. So you'll have like a nice succinct kind of on-brand thing to get you started. Bear in mind, similar to Stream Elements that has a similar kind of thing with this, you know, these are open for everyone to use. So you might come across other people who have the same theme as you. So it's not necessarily individual, but it's definitely something that gets you started and makes your stream look a bit professional, get the ball rolling and all that kind of stuff. Now, App Store, again, this is paid content. I believe this is only for paid subscriptions. And then when you add those apps, you can find them down here on the side as well. Now, the main thing, this button opens up your dashboard in a separate browser. So I've just clicked it and it's opened up my Chrome. So it shows all my kind of stream stats and things like that. That's a quick link to kind of the web version. We've also got Cloudbot, which also opens up to manage the chatbot. Again, all in your browser. So we'll show that in a sec as well. Layout editor, you can change things and you can add tabs and have different layouts and things. If you do something for one thing and, you know, maybe you do on-screen recordings for another, or certain types of games or things, and you need it laid out differently, then you can drag and drop and mess around with these so you can get that right kind of look that you're going for. Studio mode. This, when switched on, if we go back to here, it will show you basically what scene you're currently on, transitioning to the next scene. Be right back screen is ready to go. We're on a live screen, and then I need to go fill up some water or something. So be right back. So I can then transition from one to another. Basically, it's just a way of seeing what scene you're going to move from into. that makes sense. So it's no different from just selecting the new scenes down here as well. You've got obviously Streamlabs help as well right here, and obviously you can log out. And the settings is where we're going to look at as well and go through everything here, but we'll do that separately, as one like kind of separate kind of chunk. So that'll be there'll be a timestamp below the like button where you can go through and go to the bits that you want to go to. So we're gonna break it down. So as you can see very easily here, we can add new scenes, which will just create a whole new kind of blank canvas. You can also remove scenes, and we can edit scene transitions as well. So we've got this kind of global stinger going on when we move between one and the other. And you can also, so what I had was I had the dark mode as a type. That was a theme that I was using. And then I had, basically I named different scenes based on where I wanted my camera. So low right, middle right, Xbox for when I was streaming from my Xbox. And then the base, which was actually the default one. So what you're going to do with Streamlabs is you're pretty much going to come in here and you're going to pick a theme. Now you might already have a theme already, in which case very easy to add. You would add the sources and you would add your media, color, any images or things like that as well, or browser sources, because you can still use Stream Elements with this and build your overlay on Stream Elements and then use the browser source and plug it straight into Streamlabs. So you might prefer Streamlabs OBS as a streaming software, but prefer Stream Elements as a free tool of using your overlays. So you can still do that here as well. And other things like heart rate monitors and other things that we've done on the channel, you know, which uses browser source, you can still do that all here. So it's not a problem at all. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go and pick a theme. So we're going to go to the, we're going to go to the themes, and you can type in free in here and just search, and it will show you all the free themes. So you don't have to have a Prime subscription. We can come here and we can just try to see if find one that we like. Maybe we'll just use this nice simple one here, armed. Do that, suggesting it's good for first person shooters or something like that. So we can open up here, we can see, yeah, we like the look of this. It's got a starting soon and a be right back screen, so that's really nice. Got some other options here, some I think these might be Prime options or things like that. But you can see then it's got live stream starting and be right back, and we'll just install overlay. So this is, you can see 4,281 people have also installed this apparently. We can click install. It's adding a fresh scene collection and do all of it for us, and we can see straight away here. Let me just mute that just in case. We can see here, I'm just going to mute all of these. This is on our sound panel here on our mixer. I'm just going to mute all of this just in case, because obviously I'm recording off of OBS separately, so I don't want any kind of duplication when it comes to the audio for you guys. But we can now see it's created an armed scene here, scene collection basically. And you can manage these and you can add new ones and things like that as well. You can also, if you're coming from OBS, you can also import. So you can just import straight away from what you've got. I believe if you're going back to OBS, you can also import from Streamlabs. So depending like on the files and things like that. So definitely some options there. And we can now see we've got our live scene starting soon. Be right back. We've got the webcam frame. So we're going to put our webcam just over the top of this chat box. We can put here as well. We want that over, so that's then having all of this here. Now this picture, this image, it says delete me, so it's, you know, these are ready to go straight out the bat, and we can just remove that and delete it. Okay. Now what we want to do here is we're going to want to game capture, presumably. So you might want to do window capture depending on the type of game. And if that's not working, then display capture is also good as well, and that'll just capture everything that's on your screen. But we can do game capture. We can add a source and it will just say looking for game to capture. Now what it'll do is it will pick up as soon as the game starts running, and it will start pulling that through. So that's perfectly easy to do. Problem is that this is then gone on top of everything, so we can't see our overlay. So you want to move your game capture and just click and drag it and just pop it down. the bottom. Basically, the higher up these items are, the higher they appear. Basically, the more prominent or forward-facing they are in terms of order. So to move things towards the back, you want it lower down on the list. So here we can literally just change the text, and we can just change it, and we can just put there. Look at that, nice little font there. We can center it a little bit as well. And one of the things that is good with StreamLabs compared to building your overlay in, say, StreamElements is one browser source, and you've got to edit it in StreamElements and then move it around. Click save and it'll pull through. That's not so quick when you just want to move your camera from one side to the other. So I have this occasionally where we're playing a game and, oh, look, top left is better than bottom right, because bottom right is now covering key information in this new game, but top left is much safer. I can literally just drag it on StreamLabs. StreamElements, I've already got separate overlays queued up for different camera positions, but you don't necessarily need that. I did have that. Obviously, I had low right, middle right. I still had that with StreamLabs when I was using it, but you can't, just because I like things to be in the same place all the time. But you can just click and drag things and move things around. So we might say, right, we actually want the video to be, yeah, bottom left. Okay, something like that. And we've got the chat and everything like that. So that's all good. We've got the names, we've got the branding all here. We can change the colors as well if we didn't like that. So we can just come here again and we can just change that. Let's say we want that more of a red. There we go. We kind of got this kind of thing going on now. But it's looking a lot better already. We've already got the chat box. So again, we can even click in here and it's giving us some ideas of what that looks like. That move was Pog. It's happening, guys. And so you can show badges and everything like that. You can turn things off. You can enable BTTV emotes. You can change the background color, how many messages are shown. So you can say maybe we always show 20 lines instead of 10. It doesn't disappear as quick. Font settings and all that kind of stuff as well. So basically you can change the width and height, and you can also just drag it with these little squares here on the box. Once you're happy, you can click done. You size it if you want a little bit, and then you're all good to go. Now the webcam frame. Now we've got the webcam here, and obviously it's not picking up the cam link. I'm trying to think. I don't really have another camera plugged in at the moment, but we would create that. Yeah, we create that there. We can center on screen. Basically, the camera's not here because I'm using my camera, but you would be able to find your camera, whether it's a cam link, whether it is like your webcam itself comes up, like Logitech Brio or something like that. You can then pick it from the list and it will create that box, and you can then just drag it and pop it over here if you wanted, and you're all good to go. You've got a nice little frame then, and you can see there's kind of a little indent here as well, so you can kind of see that. So we can just resize this to make this a little bit bigger. You can kind of then see, oh, okay, here's what we do on this side of things. That's all good. We can hide this as well. Get rid of that. So we're looking more at what we want to do. Now, so basically we've got kind of some sources already added in here. Now you might actually want to move some of this. Like I said, these themes are just suggestions, and you can see here it's just using an image file. You know, this is just a webcam image file frame. You can get moving animated ones, which are using GIFs or GIFs. How do you say that? We got the chat box and the frames and stuff, but everything, you don't have to use an overlay theme ready-made. You can, if you're a whiz on Photoshop or you use Canva or something like that, you can put something together and you can upload this just by adding an image, uploading it, and you'll get the same effect. So you just want to make sure you're using transparency and things like that, so that, you know, things are see-through, and you're all good to go. But you can also add the alert boxes here, donation goals and bit goals. The chat box is there if you delete it by accident. You can add other fun things, spin the wheel and all that kind of stuff, and different sponsor banners, view accounts, all that kind of stuff. So you can really let your creativity kind of run wild here. You can be as minimalistic as you like, or you can be as over the top as you like. You can add all these different things here, not a problem. One cool thing about Streamlabs is that you can toggle recording only and streaming only. So basically it's got a select of recording options so you can say, okay, we want game capture to be recorded. So you can see here, you've got this little visible on both stream and recording. And you can change this so it says only visible on stream. Or you can change it again and say, actually, it's only visible when recording. So if you're recording stuff to put it on YouTube as well, you can have that creative control of, okay, I've got this showing on the screen. Now it's only showing, it's not going to show up on YouTube later because it's not going to be on the recording, but it was there for me while I was live. That's got some very useful kind of applications there when it comes to it. So that's well worth kind of checking out. And just like before, there's the little padlock and the little eye. So it's the same on OBS here. You can lock things so they can't be moved. And you can also put the little eye on and off, which just hides things basically. So yeah, if you don't need it visible on the stream or something like that, you can just hide it and it won't appear. But like I said, you can just click and drag everything and you can go from there when it comes to it. Now the alert box itself, you can double click it, you can open it, and you can choose all the different stuff that's here and what it looks like. And this is our old alert box that we had. You can just upload what you want, and that might be a GIF. Like I said, the overlay you download might actually have it on there as well. And if not, you can always come here, go to alert box, and we can download an alert box. And again, we can type in free. And we can say glitch widgets. Let's use that one. Installed that. Come back here, alert box, and now we've got these nice little glitch ones. So if we test it, pop up with a follow widget. As easy as that. And obviously, if you want to edit that, you can make your own GIF version of that. You know, you can use After Effects or Fusion in DaVinci Resolve or something like that, and you can pop that together and upload it. But like I said, there is a cool little library where you can just upload these and all ready to go with everything you need. So it's going to pull everything through. So, well, like I said, this is why I normally recommend this if you're just getting started, because you can easily get everything up and running and look very professional while you're figuring it all out. And then you can always move to OBS as you require more freedom or expansive possibilities or stuff like that. But some of the biggest streamers still use Streamlabs, so I don't think it holds you back at all. I personally found Streamlabs uses a little bit more CPU, not a massive amount. Found NVENC didn't work super good compared to the NVENC through OBS. It's the same thing, it shouldn't be a difference, but it ran smoother on OBS than it did through Streamlabs. That's something that's fixed with patches and updates and stuff like that. So let me know how you find it. But I know a lot of people use Streamlabs, a lot of people use OBS, and there are no problems. So I just found personally, I had less issues on OBS with tech problems and things like that. So with that all being said, you've got all your sources, you can add your microphone and things like that. I think that's the one thing they don't actually have here. So you'd go add source and audio input, add the source, and we could name this mic, click add. And we can choose then the microphone from the drop down. So you might want your game chat. So you might choose your headset, or it might be something where, you know, if you're using like a Go XLR, then you've got your like chat mic and things like that. You'd obviously just add your broadcast stream mix. Or if you've got line in or anything like that, you can kind of just choose it from there and you're all good to go. And then you've got everything in here, and you'll see your mix then down here, like we can see at the moment. I'll just mute that again. You can then keep an eye on all of this and see all the different things you like. So let's make this all a bit bigger, like that. Now, obviously, if you need to remove anything, you can just backspace, or you can just come in here and just remove the source, or you can hide it or anything like that. And you can also see where everything sits as well and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's pretty much the visual side of it, getting it all ready, getting it looking all nice and everything like that. Again, I'm in the way, so let me just move this. You can see you've got your go live button here. You can test your widgets on the screen. So we can see where we've placed our donations, for instance, and we can see, oh, new tip from John, £19, perfect. And you can also hit the record button here if you're recording for, you know, for YouTube or something like that, or any offline content. So make this bigger again. Down here, you've got the stats, frames per second, any skipped or started frames or anything like that. Your kilobits upload, obviously that's 0 because we're not uploading anything at the moment. And your CPU usage. Now, you can also click on this and it will pop up with any notifications. If there's any issues, it will tell you here if it's like skipping frames or anything. You can click here to get a kind of a pop out performance metrics, which again, just you can, if you don't need these, then you can click them here and it will hide them down at the bottom, or you can leave them on and keep everything there and it will back it all up to the cloud as well. You've got that all there. So stream's offline, obviously, so that's not going to be showing anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the settings now. I'm going to delve into this, and this is definitely the longer bit of the video when it comes to this sort of thing. So the general tab on this mirrors a lot of the stuff basically that's on OBS, but the general tab is basically where you can kind of manage the general settings. Essentially, you can restart it. Hardware acceleration, if you're having issues running Streamlabs, then you can disable it. Just like before, I would highly recommend that you run as administrator, and you can do that by default by opening up your properties, and you can go to compatibility and tick run this program as administrator. Click OK. And basically, just by running it as admin each time, it means your game capture works a lot more reliably. It's got the right privileges and permissions to do so. And generally, it's just a little bit smoother as well. That's what I found anyway. I found it hardly worked if I ran it normally. Game capture was very hit and miss. Running it as administrator just means that it just gives it all the right permissions it needs. You can change the language if you need to. You've got all the different output options, automatically record when streaming. So this is useful if you always record all your streams and you want to upload them later as VODs or something on YouTube, and you forget to hit the record button. You can just set it so that it automatically records and keep recording when stream stops and things like that. So that's if you're doing anything else off stream after you've streamed or something like that. And you can set confirmations and things like that. If you don't like the snappiness of when you're moving things, then that's where you can turn that off. Basically, you can enable or disable snap sensitivity. But that's pretty much the most of the stuff in general. You can auto optimize. So we could just click this button and it will just give us its recommended settings based on the computer you're running. Might be a good benchmark to start, like a good place to start, especially if you're new. OBS import, if you're coming from OBS, obviously. And you can change your default devices, which is all the mic and cam and stuff like that. So let me just skip that and skip that. There we go. This is like quick start 101 over here. Just gets you up and running, finds out what mic's attached, finds out what camera's attached, and just runs with it from there. Now stream. So you can multi-stream technically from Streamlabs up to 2 places normally. So Twitch, Facebook, YouTube as well. You can do all of these things. You can add other destinations and you just log in directly with Twitch. Now, with these kind of things, obviously you got to just double check that you're allowed to stream in multiple places and things like that. If you're a Twitch affiliate or a partner, then you've normally got like 24-hour usage exclusivity with Twitch first, and then you can upload the recording elsewhere. You normally got to seek permission to stream on another platform first or something like that. So just as a heads up there. Output to output mode. We've got the simple or advanced. Now it's probably going to be sat on simple to begin with. So you're just going to open it to advanced straight away. Now we've then got streaming, recording, audio, and replay. Now if we go to streaming, this is for obviously the streaming part of what we're doing. Now, X264 is your encoder, and that's using your CPU. So if you've got a good CPU, X264 is great. It's the way to go. and especially if you don't have an RTX graphics card, because NVENC is only available, it will only show here if you've got an NVIDIA RTX graphics card. So 2060, 2070, 2080, 2080 Ti, 3080, and all the new 30 series and stuff like that, you'll see the NVENC on there. Now, what NVENC is doing is there's like a chip or a processor or something on the card, and that is basically not used for gaming, so it's not going to impact your gaming performance. It shouldn't do. But what it will do is it will use that instead of using your CPU. It leaves your CPU to do other things. As I said, I've had hit and miss with NVENC on Streamlabs. It sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. Sometimes I had jittery streams for no reason. NVENC New is technically the one you want to be going for. And 264, I don't know why the NVENC is still an option, but maybe if NVENC New isn't working for you, try NVENC, and if it's still not working, X264 is a good option. Now, we'll do the X264 first, and then I'll show you the NVENC settings. Okay, so X264, we're using the CPU, so you want your rate control to be CBR. You want to leave these two things as unticked. You don't want to rescale the output, and you don't want to enforce streaming service encoder. So rate control, CBR. You don't want any of these other ones. Those are all false options for Twitch. I think they've got other uses for like other mediums and other streaming, but for Twitch, you want to be using CBR, which is a constant bit rate. Now the bit rate, this is probably the minimum, 2,500, and this is like 2.5 megabits, and the maximum for Twitch is 6,000 for non-partners. I believe partners can go above that, but 6,000 is the maximum for non-partners, and that's about 6 megabits and up. Now this 6,000 is the higher level, and so you might want to sit somewhere in the middle, or like 4.5 or something like that. I typically stream at around 5,500, so just a little bit less than the 6K. I've got the upload to do 6, but I've just found 5.5 to be a nice sweet spot, basically at the moment. Keyframe interval, you just leave on auto. It's very specific. It needs to be 2, but the keyframe interval will just do it itself for you and just will work it out, just in case Twitch ever changes it in the future or something like that. And then we've got the CPU preset usage, so higher equals less CPU. So basically, the slower we do this, the higher the quality, the more strain it puts on your CPU, the more strain and work it's got to go through. So normally I would go as high as fast, basically, or as slow as fast. You get it. Ultra fast is the poorest quality, but the least resistance and the least strain on your CPU. Placebo is basically setting your CPU on fire. It's super intensive and will heat your CPU up like nobody's business. So you want to go as low as fast. Anything, and that's if you've got a good CPU, 9900K, AMD Threadrippers and stuff like that. You don't want to be going below that, because the impact on performance is not directly relatable to the extra performance you get. There is not a good correlation. It's marginal gains, and gains, if that. You'll probably start seeing at medium and below more of a jittery kind of, just not as good quality, basically. It's going to impact your machine more so than anything else. The fast is as low as you want to go, but I would normally settle for faster or very fast. At the end of the day, you're going to be streaming at somewhere between 720 and 1080, 30 to 60 frames. So the quality is already not going to be, it's not, no one's streaming this 4K crisp 4K 60 stream or anything like that. So, outputting that anyway. So this is what you'd be looking at on that side of things. So I would recommend very fast for all options, but if you fancy your CPU a bit, maybe put it at fast, see what it's like. If you know your CPU is kind of the weak link, then super fast or ultra fast might be a little bit better for you. Now, What we've also got is things like tuning and stuff, and this is literally just leave this as none and leave the x264 options blank. Now profile, you can put high or main. I normally run with high, but you can also leave it as none. It doesn't matter too much on that side of things. Again, if you're finding things are not working properly, or you're finding performance is impacting, then you can always move these around and stuff like that if you want to. Now, if I just show you NVENC, so we'll just do NVENC new. They've both got the same settings. Again, you want to be on CBR, constant bitrate. You want to have your bitrate at between 2,500 and 6,000. So let's just put 5.5 in there. Keyframe interval is also 0. And now you don't have the CPU option. Instead, you have preset. Now, normally, I know my upload speed is very good. I know my CPU, but also my my graphics card I'm running on a 2080 Ti that can handle this. So I whack this on max quality with profile being high. If you've got a slightly older graphics card or one that's not as capable, then you might want to be looking at quality or performance. But you shouldn't really need to go down to these ones or anything like that. And we're going for max quality at the end of the day. Now, low latency quality is meant to be more low latency. I didn't actually notice a difference. So I've just always stuck with max quality on that side of things with high profile, and then psycho visual tuning turned on. But look ahead tuning, well, look ahead just turned off basically. GPU is 0, and then the B frames is 2. Okay, so B frames stay there. Keyframe intervals is 0, because that's just automatically going to do that, and you're all good to go. Now you can choose your recording over here as well, and you can choose where it's going to be saved and the type, what track you want it to be, like what recording format, and all that kind of stuff too. And we've also got the CBR here. Now we can have a constant bitrate here, and we can have this a lot higher because we're now recording. This is going to be offline. This is going to be using, and normally you'd want to be using your CPU for the recording, perhaps. You don't want to be streaming. Depending on the game and the output, your PC might not be able to stream and record using NVENC at max settings with everything going, you know? So have a try and see. Normally what I try and do is I'll record on my CPU, but I'll stream on using NVENC basically. But again, a lot of this is trial and error and seeing what works for your machine as well. With the variety of parts and configurations and stuff like that, it's just going to be a trial and error of seeing what works and what doesn't, and then fine-tuning bits here and there. Keyframe interval, 0 for auto. We've also got the usage preset as very fast again. So you have all this option. So you might then say, actually, we're going to put this as fast with a high profile with no tune. And you've got a bit extra space there. But again, you can use NVENC for this, and you get the exact same options here. And you can put this up to like 30,000 or something like that. So you've got these options to do this, just to have a play around and see what works. Audio, I normally leave this at 160, and replay buffer. So again, use stream output, but you can enable a replay buffer. That basically just gives you a little bit of time between. You can call through like instant replays and things like that of things that have happened on stream. But it needs to kind of, it's a bit more demanding because it's obviously keeping a record of what's happening so that you can recall it and bring it in. And I think there's a little bit further down that actually covers that. So we're going to go to audio, and audio, you can do 44.1 or 48 kilohertz. I normally do 48. But again, if you're finding your audio is crackly or your audio is potentially not that great, like your devices maybe or something like that, then 44.1 would be fine as well. And stereo is what I use for the audio channels. Your desktop audio devices, if you don't want to add them as a source and you're using the same mic all the time and that kind of stuff, you can then set it in here and add your devices here. Saves you adding them as a source basically. So where we added that mic as a source here, we wouldn't need to do that if we have our mic kind of connected here instead. So if you're not going to use these and you'd rather be in control of each scene has this audio, which is what I like to do, then I normally then disable these and you'll see it actually gets rid of them. And now we've only got the source that we added, the mic. We've got that added down here, but we don't have anything else. So I tend to like to do that. It gives me a bit more control. But if you're using like a Go XLR or something, then you would literally just put your you would choose your default or choose your chat or anything like that. But normally, I don't know where it's gone. Actually, here on this list. Normally it's here. You've got the output for the stream. So I don't know why that's not appearing. My Go XLR is probably not working. Oh well. But yeah, that's where you can do your audio devices. Now, video. Here's where you can choose your base canvas resolution and your output resolution. So the canvas resolution is what this is going to look like, the actual canvas you're working on. And then you're going to scale that down. So what I normally recommend is if you're playing games at 1440p, then you're going to want your base canvas to be 1440p. If you're playing at 4K, you want your resolution to be 4K. And if you want your if you're playing at 1080, then you want your base canvas to be 1080. And you can see we've got 4K, 1440, 1080, and 720 here. So we've got all the different options. Now, you want it to match because this is going to make everything scaled to the size. This is on a 1440p canvas. And then you can then choose to have it scale down to either straight away at 1440, so it stays the same. So what you see is what your stream sees, pretty much. Bit more intensive for them though, because that's only going to give them a 1440p option. And if they haven't got good internet, or your internet's not good enough, that's not going to work. And not everyone gets transcoding options with Twitch, so you can't guarantee you've got that unless you're a partner. So that can hamper the viewing experience for your viewer. So normally you want to be looking at 1080 max, and you might want to set it a little bit below 960 or 864. You can go right down to 720, entirely up to you what you want to do here. I currently do this at 1080. I found that the vast majority of my viewers can see that and it works for them, and my internet can cope with that and everything fine. Every now and again, there'll be someone that's saying, oh, it's buffering for me or something, and that's their internet, and that's that because I don't have transcoding. But what I found is that every now and again, you'll find your transcoding is switched on. And so your viewers will be able to choose, or it will auto choose for them, what kind of resolution to give them the smoothest experience. If you want to be, I guess, as inclusive to other people's internets as possible, then you can lower the resolution. 720 60 is going to be playable for most people, whereas 1080 60 is going to be a little bit harder for that to process for them. So you can kind of play around with it on that side of things and see what works and see what doesn't. I've never gone to 720. I've kind of hovered around these three: 1080, 960, and 864. And since moving to OBS, I kind of just went with 1080, and that's kind of what I've just set as my standard on that side of things. Now the downscale filter, because I'm always scaling down from 1440 to something else, you're going to get some kind of like jagged lines, and it's not going to be as sharp, and it's going to be a bit pixely sometimes. So using, I don't know how to say this, but is it Lanczos or Lanczos sharpen scaling? Basically, that just means that it's nice and smooth. So it goes from looking like a Minecraft to looking more realistic, basically. And then the common FPS. So again, 60 frames, 30 frames. Probably don't want to go under 30. 24s for like filmatic, kind of cinematic kind of look. And you know, these are like slight variations of them. 60 frames is what you'd probably want on that side. It depends what you're playing. If you're playing fast motion games, then you're going to want as high frames as possible. So you're going to want that 60 frames per second value. And that might mean you drop down to 720 if you do 720 60. If you do slower games or strategy and things like that, then you might do 1080 but at 30. Or you can be like me and just do 1080 60 and just hope everyone can see. Again, I haven't had any issues with this personally, and it's every now and again, but you can have a look at it and see what works best for you there. So if we move down, we've got hotkeys here. Now hotkeys, a little bit like what I covered in my OBS video. I don't personally use them because I've used a Stream Deck, and I used the StreamLabs phone app before when I was using StreamLabs before I had a Stream Deck. And so that means that I can basically just control it separately, because I don't play the same game all the time, and so the keybinds can change. So if you play on controller or you're on console streaming through and you're not using your keyboard all the time, or you play the same game so you know that these keys you don't touch, then you can come along and put some hotkeys in and it can speed it up a little bit. I just personally never use these, but they are here if you want to use them, and you just click into them and record the key and it will then remember that for next time. Now the advanced section, well worth looking at this. So process priority must be above normal. Again, it just gives you that right kind of access within the Windows PC just to make sure everything's working. The video color format, MV12, normally with a 709 color space, full range. That's normally what I recommend with forced GPU as render device. If you find your colors look a little bit off, then maybe try the different ones here, but MV12 709, this is Rec 709 here, with full color range, usually just makes everything look like it should. You might find with partial or 601 or maybe something else like I444 or something like that, it's going to look a little bit different, and depending on your recording and your camera and things like that, it might make you look washed out, might make you look not as vibrant or more saturated or something like that. So I'd recommend starting from there and then tweaking if you find the colors look a little bit off. So audio monitoring device, I just leave as default. And file formatting, you can change the recording name if you want this to be a set kind of thing. The replay buffer as well, that's the saved replay name, so you can set a fixed name, prefix or suffix there as well. If you find you're getting stream sniped a lot, you can add a stream delay and you can enable a set duration and things like that if you want to do that. And if you have any issues, then you can also have an automatically reconnect option here. So this is going to retry every 15 seconds to a maximum of 25 times. And if there's nothing, it will just end the stream. So if you lose internet temporarily, it will boot back up once it finds the internet again. But if you don't, then it will just end the stream, and that's that stream done then for that night. If you want to bind Streamlabs to your IP and just make sure that it's giving it all the right channels with your network and everything like that, especially if you're finding there's some issues and stability, then you can click on the drop down and select your IP and kind of bind it there. That's great if you've set a static IP on your router. Not so good if it's dynamic, so just have a look at that. Normally I keep low latency mode on and dynamically change bitrate when dropping frames. So if I'm having issues while streaming and my frames are dropping, Streamlabs will then change my bitrate from say 5,500 down to 4,000 to kind of compensate for that a little bit and try and find a nice sweet spot. Especially if maybe you're in an area that maybe you've got a provider that throttles you during peak times, or it's you've got a load of people on the network or something like that. It can just mean that it just variably kind of changes rather than stubbornly sticking to a bitrate that is giving you poor performance. Because you're not necessarily going to know this while you're streaming, so this just allows it to kind of take care of it for you. Now sources, enable browser source hardware acceleration. I leave this ticked on. I know a lot of people recommend tick this off though if you are having problems with performance. So if you're having issues with performance and your machine can't handle it, try on ticking this, restart Streamlabs. You might find that just helps it a little bit, that side of things. Now scene collections, again, you can import and export overlay files and things like that, and you can choose to back up and stuff. This is more Streamlabs kind of territory now. Notifications, you can enable sounds and notifications about detected skipped frames. You can set thresholds for how much, at what point do you want to be notified about that. You want to detect lag frames and how much by and all that kind of stuff too. Appearance, you can choose the night day theme. If you've got the Prime memberships, you can choose Obsidian or Alabaster, and that'll just change you from dark theme to light theme and all that kind of stuff. So all aesthetic here, and you can enable better TTV emotes and Francophase emotes as well, so those will show up as well if people use them. Useful if you've got them switched on as well. Within Twitch, you can do that here too. The remote control, so you can actually download the app on your phone. It will open up a QR code to scan this barcode that's here now. And it says don't show this code on stream, so don't do that. You just show the barcode, scan it with your phone, and that will connect your app to it. And it basically means that someone can then control the stream, which is why you don't want to show up on stream. But it means you can then control on your phone which scenes you want to change and everything, and it's done all purely through that. So very nice and easy to do. Here's where you can do the virtual webcam, which is a experimental feature, and it just means it will show up in Zoom and things like that. Game overlay. So you can have a hotkey for this. You can enable it and then set a hotkey while playing your game. So most people will have StreamLabs OBS on a second monitor, so they might look over to chat. So I'll like look over to chat when I'm talking because it's near the camera, then and I can make eye contact, and I'll go back to the game. You can also have it so that it overlays, so that you can actually have, you're playing the game and you can actually see your chat, like a chat overlay. You can't see your actual stream, but you can see like the chat box itself and things like that. So it means you can just read chat while playing, especially useful if you've got a front-facing camera or you just are on one monitor. Very useful then. I would say though, if you've got two monitors and you've got like a camera offset, then maybe having it on your other monitor might be the way to go. I found the in-game overlay hit and miss. It worked on some games. It does say here this overlay may not work with certain games running it in exclusive full screen mode. So even windowed full screen, things like Destiny 2 and stuff, doesn't work because they think it's going to be like cheating or something like that. So, you know, some games aren't going to work for it. So, you know, if you're again playing a certain type of game, and you're, you know, and it works for that game and this is easy for you, then go for it. Just bear in mind it might not work for all games. So best to check before you get started. Here's where you can do face masks and things like that. So you can put different things in there, like little fun stuff there, and then you can see your installed apps here as well, which again was from the app here. And this is where you can actually enable them or disable them as well. So I've actually disabled them because I don't use them. You can actually enable them there as well. If you're searching for something specific, you can just hit the search bar and search it. But when you're done, you just want to click the green done button and all your settings will be good. And you'll be then ready to pretty much click go live. Now, the one other area I want to show you, this is the Cloudbot. So this is what happens when on Streamlabs you click the Cloudbot here. It will take you to this screen. Now you want to add Streamlabs as mod in your chat. So you just go to your Twitch and you just type in /mod Streamlabs, and that will give it the permissions that it needs. You want to make sure it's turned on up here. I'm not going to turn mine on because I actually don't use Cloudbot anymore. I use Stream Elements as one, but you can do that here. And then you have all your mod tools and things, and maybe we'll do another video separate on this. You can create a bot account. You can add your different modules and things, different commands and things like that as well. So customs and variables and all that kind of stuff. You can sort out your loyalty and polls and giveaways and all that kind of stuff too. So you can do that all in here. You can also manage your widgets and your alert boxes here as well. And this is all your analytics and dashboard. But all of this is kind of hotkeyed, kind of in here. You've got little shortcuts to the dashboard and the Cloudbot. So that's where you can find all of that stuff. But yeah, so that's everything as a quick kind of let's get started on Streamlabs OBS. Hopefully you found that useful. Let me know how you found it in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you found this content useful. Let me know what other sort of things you'd like to see and I can put more tutorials together. So yeah, feel free to come ask any questions. And remember, we stream live on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time. That's twitch.tv/ProRogueBear. You can also catch us on Twitter as well. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See you then.